In this video, I'm going to teach you how to scale your online health and fitness coaching business and sign more clients. I'm going to be sharing specifically with you guys the 10-step online health and fitness system that has helped a lot of our coaches scale to $10,000 months and more. Just like our coach Colas, who scaled to $12,000 in literally 2.5 months, or someone like Colette, right, who's got to basically went from $5K to $10,000 months. We've helped out over 900 plus health and fitness coaches the past 5.5 years. So take out your pen and paper, right? Pen and paper. Take out your guys' memo pad on your guys' phone. Take notes. You're gonna wanna rewatch this video, right? And you're actually gonna wanna workshop with us as well too. You guys can actually click the link in the description box to download the workbook I'm gonna be going over here, because there's gonna be a lot of gold in this. So right now, before I jump into the actual training, I wanna show you guys an overview of all of the different 10 topics I'm gonna go over in this crash course. Because again, look, most videos out there on YouTube, they'll give you guys high level stuff. They'll give you guys theory, but this is literally application, really actionable steps. That's why I'm saying download the workbook. Hit pause on every step on there, rewind it if you have to, implement with me, because it's going to change your guys' business and be able to sit there and scale it the way you guys want. So number one, we're gonna be talking about the limiting beliefs that are keeping you guys stuck from growing your guys' business. Number two is going to be how to attract what we call your perfect future client, which is your online audience. Number three is how do we capture those clients that we attracted through lead gen strategies and get them to convert and be paying online clients. Number four is how do we sit there and coach these clients now that they've bought from us, we have them into our program, and we get to deliver our online service to them to be able to change and impact their lives. And number five, how do we sit there and do a world-class customer experience service to these online clients? And number six, how do you actually deliver your expertise now that you're online, you have online paying clients so they can continue to pay, stay, and refer? And number seven, retention. How do we get these clients to stay as long as possible? Not 4 weeks, not 8 weeks, but literally almost a year to transform their lives. And number eight, how do we use referrals? How do we use social proof and gather that, right? And use that for results-driven marketing to bring more online clients into your pipeline. And number nine, the expand tool that we use, the 3-step expand tool to really expand your business to that next level. And finally, number 10, the F plus D plus C formula to sit there and play the long game in this business and not make it a side hustle, but be in business for the next 5, 10, 20 plus years. But if you're an action taker, you're committed, you're driven, you're like, you know what, this video sounds great, but I wanna go on the fast track, right? Check out the link below in the description box. You guys can book a business growth call with us, 15-minute call, and you guys can just see if we could possibly help you out. What are some of the opportunities? What are some of the problems in your business? And see if it's a good fit. So the 10-step checklist to get more online fitness coaching clients. All right, step one here. So this is a brain, right? And I put this as a brain because we like to tell ourselves stories. We like to create the worst case scenarios in our heads. You know what they're called? Limiting beliefs. Okay, so I'm going to jump into basically the top 6 limiting beliefs that you are going to face as a business owner. It doesn't matter what business you're in my opinion. If you're a nutrition coach, fitness coach, you're in the industry. If you're in relationship, wealth, whatever, right? Digital, SaaS, I don't know, whatever. You're going to face these limiting beliefs as a business owner, okay? So you got to look out for these, because if we do not sit there and tame these, that's the key word, is tame these, right? Are we ever going to eliminate these? I don't know. I don't have the answer for that. I'm not smart enough to know that, right? So can we tame them? Of course, because they're like wildfires. If they become like wildfires and then they continue to spread, what happens? Things burn down, right? So if we can tame them and calm these things down, then it calms our mind down. We have more peace, we have more clarity, right? We have more focus, more discipline, more consistency. We actually continue to build our business and play the long game in this game, okay? So the very first one here is the fear of failure, okay? Fear of failure. We're scared to fail. Hey, if we start a business, well, in the back of our mind, what happens if we fail? What if this whole thing crashes and burns, right? It's a legitimate thing that we think about. The next one is fear of success. So the opposite side of the spectrum, right, is failure. But then it's like, okay, what if we do succeed here? What if I have to leave my job? What if I can't do in-person anymore? I have to sell my brick and mortar, right? And I got to go all in on online. I didn't know it was going to take off like this. Well, there's that fear of success, right? To where it's like, we don't want to go all in. We don't want to go to that next level. We don't want to seek more help. We don't want to grow. We like to stay nice and stagnant and complacent, okay? Comparison syndrome, okay? So we compare ourselves to other people in the industry, maybe pioneers, maybe people we looked up to, right? For me, guys, when we were doing dynamic duo training, one of the people we used to really compare ourselves to was Lane Norton, right? And it's funny, he was our coach for 5 years, okay? So maybe that's why. But we compared ourselves to him. We tried to do a lot of things that he did, tried to emulate him, right? Not copy him, but just emulate him because we're just so fascinated by his knowledge and who he was. But what happened though was it took away from like who we are and took away from our voice, our message, our unique gifts and talents, right? That we've given by God to where we can actually help other people out and people can actually come to us and be like, wow, these guys are different. Like I'm going to sit there and work with these guys rather than Lane Norton because not everybody's going to work with insert X, Y, Z. That's what's great about this industry, right? Is people buy coaches, not coaching. Okay. But comparison is a huge thing. The next thing with that is imposter syndrome. So, with imposter syndrome, it's like, shoot, we maybe get into this industry, we level up a little bit, right? And we're like, man, this is awesome. But it's like, well, who do I think I am? Like, whoa, there's people that have been doing this a lot longer than me. There's people that have a lot more success than me. Who do I think I am doing this, right? I'm going to probably just like shrink down a little bit, right? Play it safe. Don't get my name out there a little bit. Just take a couple of clients on, charge a nice little fee. Don't get too crazy, right? It's imposter syndrome, guys. Imposter syndrome. We got to literally cut that down as much as possible, okay? Next one, fear of wrong decisions. So us humans, man, we are terrified to make the wrong decisions. It's not even just in business, but it's just like, hey, it's just like picking the wrong partner. It's picking the wrong career, right? Money choices, investments. We fear making the wrong decisions, right? So it's like, hey, how do we sit there and tame this, right? How do we get a hold of this? How do we work on this and do the inner work so this doesn't come up in our business? Because you might make some wrong decisions. You know what? It's part of the game. It's part of learning from it. Okay. And the last one on here is a scarce money mindset. That's a big one. And this is hard, right? Because this comes from basically your upbringing. It can come from media outlets. It could come from parents, communities, like so many different things, right? Of why you have a scarce money mindset, why you have a bad relationship with money, right? Why you have a poverty mindset. With this, you have to change this, guys, especially as a business owner. You have to, because you have to invest in yourself, right? If you don't invest in yourself and you invest in your business, sorry, guys, it's just not going to grow. Like, I don't care what anybody says across the internet. I've been doing this for 15 years. Every single year, I've had to invest in myself, whether it's here or it's actually in the business, right? Or getting into certain rooms to meet certain people, right? Skill sets. You have to invest in yourself. Okay. That's how you have to look at it. It's just the way you change your perspective on this, right? I'm not telling you guys to be irresponsible, go into huge amounts of debts, this and that, right? But if you're scared to put a little money on credit cards and get you guys going and to sit there and have a big payoff in your business, you might want to think about changing careers on here. Okay. So that's basically number one on this checklist, right? Is what we call mind growth here. Okay. And that is all of these limiting beliefs that you guys have to tame, right? Will you guys eliminate them? I don't think so, right? But can you tame them? Absolutely. So you can keep going forward in your guys' business. Comment below which one of these you guys are facing right now, right? Currently in this journey of business. If you're finding value in this video, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe so you can keep getting these high quality videos that have actionable steps to build your guys' online coaching business. All right, number two. Let's move on to attract here. Okay, so attract is basically lead generation. It's marketing, right? It's attracting these right buyers to you, your brand, and getting attention on your brand. Okay, so then we can serve them. So there's four things I'm going to talk about within attract here on here. Okay, so the very first thing here is I like to draw things, right? So obviously, what I call this is your PFC. That's your perfect future client. Okay, so who is this perfect future client, right? That we're creating in our head, we're creating in the world, we're creating in our business to work with and serve at a high level, especially in your online nutrition and fitness business, okay? Now, there's three main components that make up this PFC that we found, okay? The first one is your problem. So again, like guys, it can't be just like this mediocre problem. It's got to be called a bleeding neck problem, okay? So where it's like, this is a core problem. It's a unique problem that people are facing that they will pay a high premium to sit there and solve. So for example, if you're in weight loss, it can't just be lose 10 pounds. It's got to be something like 25 pounds plus, guys. And there's got to be some other things we have to tie into emotionally with that, okay? If you guys are doing other things like within health, right? It's like, okay, a stub toe problem is basically like headaches, right? But basically solving a bleeding that kind of like core unique problem would be migraines because it's more severe. It's higher persistence on there, okay? So it's like, we got to find a really unique like bleeding that core problem to fix for these people. Yeah. Now, the next thing here is now that we have the problem, well, we got to sit there and we got to find the avatar. And the avatar basically is the person, guys. Like, who is this person? Men, women, specific age ranges, occupations, character traits, all those type of things. And now the last thing on here is your specialty and your method. Okay. So again, maybe it's like a system, it's a blueprint, maybe it's a pathway, a process, a pipeline. I don't know, whatever one of those things like kind of falls under. But you got to have something unique, guys. You got to have a special sauce because you can't just be in this industry and just be like everybody else, where it's just like, hey, I just help you alleviate migraines. Hey, I just help you get rid of irritable bowel syndrome. Hey, I just help you lose 25 pounds, right, and build muscle mass. No, guys, like that's just so vanilla out there. Like you have to stand out, right? People like novelty. They like new. It gives them hope, right? It's a very powerful marketing stimulus. So if you have a specialty, a method, a unique process, it's like, okay, showcase that to this perfect future client. If we can do these three things right here, you guys are going to find that pure perfect future client. You serve them at a high level, and they're going to charge. You're going to be able to charge a high premium as well too. Okay. Okay. From here, we call this your messaging, because once you have the PFC now we got to get into the messaging, right? And that's just really getting into their head, right? So there's two ways I kind of like to teach this, where it's basically we have a smiley face, which means, we have to sit there and figure out what are their wants within health and fitness? What are their goals, whether it's short term, long term? So what are their aspirations, more longer term, like I kind of talked about? And what are their desires specifically within health and fitness, right? And again, we have to know this stuff, guys. This is getting into basically the psychographics into their head. And this is why it's so important to understand who this perfect future client is. And it's not everybody, right? It's a specific individual to where we get in this into their head and understand their wants, their goals, their aspirations, their desires within health and fitness. Now, if we look at the other side of the spectrum here, this is basically a sad face or a frown. Okay. So what this basically means is we have to look for basically the negatives, the pain points here to create urgency, to create a crisis, right? Because crisis sells, right? To make them want to change and solve this bleeding neck problem. So, what are their long-term fears within health and fitness if they don't make a change? What is the pains? What are their frustrations? What keeps them up at night? Got to figure all these things out, guys. Make a really big list, right? Because the bigger the list, the more you understand like who this perfect future client is, and then match the messaging with this, the better you guys are going to be able to critique this message out to the world on social media, landing pages, right? Short form masterclasses, videos, in-person presentations, whatever it is. Okay. But we have to get the messaging right because a lot of the magic lies in the messaging, guys. I always see this with coaches where it's like, oh, I'm not getting clients or I'm not getting leads. Let's go back to the drawing board, right? A, M, and then O. Audience. Let's go back into the perfect future client. Let's go back into the M, the messaging, and then usually it's something in the offer, which I'll talk about later. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to move on to here is basically the big one, lead generation. How do I get more leads, right? How do I get more leads in my pipeline? So what I like to teach here is this triangle. So let's say it's leads in your pipeline. So there's three ways that we can attract leads in our pipeline. First one is we can create leads, traffic. So with that, right, this is going to be sweat equity. This is going to be a lot of your time, a lot of your effort. Okay. This is creating organic content, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcasts, whatever it is. Maybe it's a whole host of those things, right? Which I don't recommend, but this is creating content with your time, like I mentioned. So that's one way, right? Hustling outside social media stuff, whether it's like guerrilla marketing, right? Stuff like that. Flyers, all that, QR codes. That's all creating traffic and leads, right? That you can control with your guys' time and effort. Okay. Now, the next one here is we call it borrow traffic. So borrow traffic, a couple ways to look at this. You look at this virtually to where it's like we're looking for joint ventures, partnerships, host beneficiaries, right? Anybody that kind of has our perfect future client online. Maybe it's a Facebook group, maybe it's a school group, right? Now, the other side of the coin is we can do this locally as well too, right? To where it's like, how do we dominate a 3 to 5 mile radius and find businesses that have our clientele? Maybe they might not be that exact perfect future client. That's fine, right? We can still serve people, right, at a high level, okay? But how do we find like companies locally to where we can borrow their traffic and get eyeballs on our brand? I scratch your back, you scratch my back, right? I do something for you, you do something for me. We're building a partnership locally, right? And that's what's awesome too, is like, don't just think all online, right? Think also like, how do I dominate locally where I can take people that are local clients and then take them virtually into my services as well too, okay? Now, the last part here, this is the most powerful way in my opinion. It's basically paid traffic. Now, this is, paid advertisement on YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok ads, LinkedIn ads, billboards, radio ads, podcast ads, whatever it is these days. There's so many things you can do paid wise, right? But again, you got to have the nettle. You got to have deep pockets, right? You got to be afraid not to sit there and invest in some money, put some things on some credit cards if you don't have the money, right? And sit there and take that risk. You choose. You want to pay with your time, or you want to pay with money, right? Create or paid or borrow too. It's up to you guys. This is how you guys fill your guys' pipelines. It's the only three ways that you guys are going to sit there and get leads. Whether you do one and you focus on it really good, or you do a combination of all three, or 2 out of 3, whatever it is, guys. But hopefully that opens your guys' eyes of lead generation. Now, the last part here, basically your nurture game, okay? So if you look at this, just kind of land this home. You basically have right here, step 1, identify your perfect future client. Step 2, we got to get the messaging right. Step 3, I gave you some lead gen kind of like strategies, right, on how you guys can get people. And then we land the plane here under attract with nurture. So with nurture, I like to look at it this way. So right here, let's just say that your ecosystem, okay? So this is basically drawing people in from, let's say, Facebook, Instagram, ads, whatever, right? People start identifying you, who you are, right? You bring people in right through a post, an ad, whatever it is. From there, they come here and basically they're a stranger. They're like, who the heck is XYZ, right? But hey, I like their content. I like what they posted, okay? So from there, how do we get them to become a stranger to a friend, friendish, right? And then become a buyer. That's kind of the game of nurturing, right? If you look at it this way, it's like, how do we, get someone to know, like, and then trust us, be able to hire us? So really, guys, this is kind of the game you're playing within nurture. Somebody finds you across your socials, an ad, whatever it is that you guys are doing lead gen wise. Cool. They're in your world now. They know who you are. You got their attention. Now it's like, how do we get to them to know, like, and trust us, or become a stranger, a friend, or buyer? And that's through business nurturing them, through content, through adding value, through goodwill deposits, right? Having conversations with them. And eventually, that's how you're going to sit there and get people to buy, because you're not going to have always ready now buyers, right? To where people are going to buy within the first 7 days. Is that possible to front load a lot of things and build trust faster? Yeah, it is, right? But it's also, you're going to have those people that are going to buy 2 months, 3 months, 6 months later, a year later, 2 years later, right? And those are all buyers, but it just takes time for different people to make these decisions, okay? So hopefully that all hit home, guys, on step 2 with attract. All right, let's jump into numero tres, which is capture, right? So we just talked about attracting people, pulling people into your brand, attracting these right buyers. Now it's like, okay, we got them, right? How do we capture them? How do we convert them into paying clients so that we can serve them at a very high level and help them out, right? And also make our business grow as well, too. So if you look at this, smack in the middle, you have capture. So the first thing you have to really focus on, right? We call this a high ticket transformation offer in our world, because it's not just high ticket, right? It's not just like this unique offer. It's a high ticket transformation offer. Like, you're transforming someone's lives within your nutrition and fitness skills, okay? Like transformation. That's what we're talking here, okay? Now within that, there's 3 things that we need to really focus on. The first one is the outcome/deadline. There's got to be a specific outcome, guys, like I mentioned, kind of like the unique problem you guys are solving right there. And it's also coupled with a deadline, right? To where it's like, how fast can you get this person as a result? Is it 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, or 16 weeks, okay? That's very, very big to be able to sell a high ticket offer, okay? Now, the next one here is your guys' unique, system, which if I go back and talk about, right, the perfect future client, it's using that unique method or that system, right, or that process, whatever you guys have. There's got to be something unique about this, because if you just give them the outcome and the deadline, cool, you're gonna have some people like, yeah, let's just do it. I'll do whatever, right? But then you're gonna have some other people where, like, in this day and age, they've tried a lot of things. They've hired coaches, guys, to where it's like, what makes you different? Like, what makes your system different? Like, last time I tried this, I didn't get results. So you tell me how I'm gonna get results differently with you, and then pay you a high premium at the same time. Well, how we're gonna do that, right, is we're gonna do it through this unique system that we have, this unique method, this unique blueprint, right? This 3-step phase, this 3-step process, okay? You guys have to have something like that to sell a high ticket transformation offer. And then really some other stuff that just helps, like icing on the cake, is obviously having like bonuses, guarantees, some financial engineering to get people in differently with like finances and stuff like that, right? That all helps, but that's all kind of just brings into like a high ticket transformation offer for you to sell, okay? Now from here, we then go to basically your sales process. I love talking about sales. This is why we have 2 sales skill drills in our mentorship to really help with like, role play, all that stuff. It's awesome. I love doing that stuff. Okay. So with this, the first thing here, is we just have to figure out, like, how are we selling like this offer, right? So you can obviously do it through what we call sell by text, to where it's like you get people maybe a Google Doc, a landing page. Chances though of selling like, $1,000 to $3,000 online nutrition and fitness program, if it's a cold lead especially, it's gonna be hard, guys. You have to have some really good like skills or really good copywriting, like landing page and VSL and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend it, right? But hey, if that's an option you guys want to go down and not get on a phone call, I'm not going to recommend it, but that's a route you guys can sell on. Okay. Now, obviously, the other one could be, it could be a VSL, it could be a webinar, it could be a short form masterclass. And then that leads to like a checkout page or something like that. That's another route too. Again, I'm not going to recommend it unless you have a very big audience, you have a very big authority established, a lot of trust, XYZ. But what I am going to recommend here is selling over Zoom or the phone, because if you look at basically the proximity with like sales, okay, the very hierarchy, you basically have face-to-face. If you have face-to-face sales, if you guys are like in a brick and mortar, if you guys have like a gym or something like that, it's easy to sell that way because there's so much trust, right? And that energy transfer from face-to-face and person to person. So how do we replicate that, right? Over online? Well, the closest proximity to face-to-face is then Zoom, because it's like we're here and we can see each other, right? We can see our faces. We can kind of feel like, the energy somewhat on there, right? So Zoom is probably the second one. Then the third one is obviously phone, right? So if you're not comfortable on Zoom yet, okay, let's jump on a phone call. And then once you scale up, you guys can go to Zoom. Okay. But that's a sales process I recommend, guys, if you guys are going to sell a high ticket transformation offer. Your sales skills. So again, guys, like if you guys want to make more money and help more people out, you got to get better at sales. Okay. Because let's just say, just for example here, show you guys how real this is. Let's say every single week you guys have 10 book calls. Okay. Out of those 10 book calls, you maybe close one person. So what is that? A 10% close rate? Let's say you sell, $2,000 program. Great. They paid in full $2,000. Now, what if you guys put in the work to skill up and get better at sales? Now, let's just say that you guys have, 10 calls a week, and now you guys are selling 3 out of 10. Okay. So basically that's 30% now. That's a 20% increase in your guys' closing rate. Now, what's 3 times 2,000? Wow, that's pretty cool, right? We just increased basically $4,000 because we got better at sales. See how powerful that is, guys? Hope you guys are getting some out of this. So we got to get better at sales skills, guys, okay? What we call our sales process is inspirational selling, right? Because we're inspiring people to take action once and for all. We're not being pushy. We're not being sleazy, unethical, right? We're inspiring people to take action on their health and fitness once and for all to get them out of pain and what the problem is they're suffering, okay? And we're coaching them through the process, right? So it's a really seamless process when you really reframe your mindset that way, that you're inspiring people to take action on there, okay? The other things you have to understand is the 3 C's in sales, okay? So you have to have compassion, and you have to have clarity, and then conviction. So compassion is like, guys, you got to care, right? And I'm sure if you're watching this, you actually care, right? But you have to care, and you have empathy when you guys are talking to these people on the phone, right? Because got to meet them where they're at. We don't know like what they've been through. We don't know what they've tried, but we have to have compassion with them because people are going to buy from people they feel the most safe with. Okay. The next thing is clarity. We have to be very clear on what that bleeding neck problem is. What's that number one problem they want fixed? If we're not clear on that and the prospect can't critique that, we're not going to make the sale, guys. So we got to get very clear. And that comes with really active listening, being curious and asking a lot of questions. And the last one, guys, conviction. That's a good one right there, because that means that you guys are so confident. You have so much conviction in your expertise and your experience and getting people results and what you do, right? To where it's like, they feel that, to where it's like, nah, man, this guy, this girl, like, yeah, I feel it. This is the person that's going to get me to the promised land. This is the next coach that's going to take me to that next level. I feel their conviction. I feel their confidence, right? I feel their belief and their certainty. You guys got to have that stuff in your guys' sales skills to be able to sit there and get to that next level. And the last one is reps and sets. Just like you guys go to the gym, you build these guns right here. It's reps and sets, guys. That's all it is. Daily repetition. You guys got to just get better and better at sales. Review your calls. Be in mentorships, have sales coaches, rewrite your script so it makes it in your nervous system, your brain, talk it out loud, role play, all those type of things, okay? All right, let's be honest these days. Websites are outdated. People will go on your social media profiles, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and they will check you out and see if you are legit, see if you're a real coach. If you're interested in producing high quality content, right, that will literally attract those right buyers and build trust and decrease skepticism, right, to get them into your ecosystem, we created a 365-day content tool to where you guys can download that in the description box below. And it's literally plug and play, set it or forget it. You don't even have to think about what those content posts are for the next like full year. It's a whole calendar on different topics you can go live on, stories, posts, swipes, whatever it is. So make sure to grab that 365-day social media content calendar and click the link in the description box below to grab it. All right, number 4, let's talk about coaching now, because we just basically talked about breaking down mind growth, limiting beliefs. How do we attract these clients into our world, and how do we capture and convert them to be able to sell and basically serve them at a high level, right? Now it's like, okay, got them in, they paid us. how do we coach them now, right? The way I like to look at this is kind of two things here, right? If you look at this, we split this in half. The first thing is once we got them into our world, right, is we have to have good systems and processes, guys. Because the last thing is like they pay you a high premium and then you get them into your role, like with the onboarding, right? And it's just like it's sloppy, it's disorganized, it's confusing, it's overwhelming. If you make that process overwhelming after they pay you and then go into like, onboarding, it's super overwhelming, just super disorganized, they are going to sit there and get frustrated. And guess what? They're probably going to be like, hey, you know what, Mike? It's just it's not working out. I like a refund in the first 7 days. And you're going to be in a tough situation, right? But it was on you though, it wasn't on them. So that's how a lot of buyer's remorse happens, is when people get super overwhelmed. There's a lot of disorganization and sloppiness, right, within their systems and process. So basically, it's like, look at it this way. How do we make this business run like a well-oiled machine with your systems, your processes, all that type of stuff, guys? Like whether it's like going through like an app that you guys are using, right? Whether it's a software, whether it's like Google Docs, Dropbox, Google folders, whatever it is, like have those systems and process and those next steps of like the client journey be so crystal clear and almost like be obsessed with it. And I promise you guys will have less churn. You'll have less people like asking for chargebacks, and you guys will build a great, amazing brand over the time. And basically that kind of leads with like retention too, of what I just talked about. Like if we don't have these systems and process dialed in, guys, like, you're not going to retain clients. And then it's so hard because it's like you're constantly losing people in the pipeline, right? And we're going back out in the marketing sales field. And it's hard to acquire clients sometimes, guys. I'm not going to lie, right? It's not easy. The best bet is once you work hard to get these clients in, how do we retain them? How do we just wow them with like just showering them with like wowness and just a wow factor of like customer service experience, like the client journey, like excited for the future, right? Just like not overwhelmed, not skeptical, all those things. And that'll lead to a better retention. And then from there, guys, obviously it's your delivery, right? Especially within your expertise. So if you're a nutrition coach, obviously that's going to be your delivery of your nutrition skills and your system, your process within that, the method, and getting them results. Because basically, if you don't get them results, and then at the end of the day, guys, they're not going to pay, stay, and refer. So it's like whatever you guys are delivering, right, within that offer, whatever your expertise is, nutrition, fitness, metabolism, curing migraines, curing gut health, decreasing diabetes, whatever it is, right? Whatever world you guys are in, you have to sit there and focus on this and deliver what you say you will do and be an expert at that to get them results. Because again, they're not going to pay, stay, and refer, guys, okay? And then your business is going to crash and burn on there, okay? So that's really the three things I like to really hammer home when you guys get people into your world and coach them: systems and process, focus on retention, and then really focus on delivery. All right, number 5 is customer experience. So I like piggybacking customer experience off their coaching because we got them into our world, which is amazing, right? But it's like, man, now it's like, just think about when you go to Disney, right? Or somewhere where you're just like, man, the customer experience here is so awesome. And I just noticed it says customer experience. I don't even know what that is. It should say experience, okay? So I don't know what happened there. But anyways, think about like a Disney World you guys go to, or just somewhere where there's just exceptional customer experience where you're just like, wow, like how do they think about this? How do they do this? How do they make me feel like this? Okay. That's why I love this part, because we already did the hard work to get them in the world, to buy trust, get them to pay you, and then you care. So you're going to now give them results, right? And you're going to really give an amazing customer experience so that you can just wow them and then they can rave about you. Okay. There's 4 different areas you should focus on now. So your onboarding process and system, guys, this is where you should focus basically 90% of it. Because like I mentioned, if it is overwhelming, if it's confusing, if there's a lot of work that needs to be done here, they're going to back out. Again, what do humans like fear the most? Making the wrong decision. I made the wrong decision with Jane. I knew I shouldn't have paid $3,000. I knew I should have just Googled something. I should have just done something local, right? That's what starts coming through people's head when it's overwhelming, when it's a lot of work perceived to do in the onboarding, right? There's not enough like support, not enough touch points on there, okay? So you guys got to get this onboarding tightened up, right? Is just make it the best onboarding experience, like for those first like 7 days, to where they're just like taken care of so damn good. And they just feel so good, like literally off on their own to be able to do the work and then wait for their next accountability check-in or whatever it is, okay? The next thing is skills. So when you guys are in this industry, right, especially online, they're paying you, the expert, to develop skill sets, right? Because obviously, like, yeah, would we like to keep them for a lifetime? Sure, but is that realistic? Probably not. If we can keep a client for a year in this game, that's a huge win, right? What kind of skill sets are we going to give them though in this year though, right? To where it's like they can go off on their own, or they can teach their family, they can teach their kids to avoid some of these mistakes, right? So What are the skill sets you guys are teaching these people, right? And be very, very clear on that. Again, I don't have that answer, right? Is it nutrition? Is it training philosophies? Is it, you know, metabolism? Is it, you know, reversing disease, curing disease, avoiding diseases? I don't know, guys, right? That's only you guys know, but be very clear on these skills that you're going to be working on them for the next 8, 12, 16, 6 months, 24, 12 months, whatever it is. Okay. Then the biggest thing, guys, with this client experience is your accountability and the support they're going to get throughout this journey with you. Again, I don't know how long this term is that they're going to work with you guys, but let's just say it's 6 months. What's the accountability like? How much, you know, support do they have? How much access do they have to you with this, right? Do they get to text you? Do they get to jump on group calls? Do they get to do weekly calls with you, right? Be very clear on what this accountability and support looks like that they get, right? Because especially in the online world, this is what they're paying for, right? They can go off and Google a bunch of crap, chat GBT these days, how to get a diet, how to do an exercise program, whatever, right? They can do so many things these days, guys. There's a boatload of information. Okay, that's not the problem. The problem is not focusing on accountability and support here for them. Okay, so really dial this in on what the accountability is, what the support is. I would definitely recommend making it high touch for the first like 8 to 16 weeks to win them over and get them quick wins and get them that result, that outcome you guys promised them, what I talked about before with that deadline, and just dial that in. Okay. Now, the last part here is community. So look, obviously what I recommend is building a community of like-minded people like this, right? This is why it's so important to understand like a perfect future client, because just imagine them with a community of like 20 to 50 people that's like-minded, that's going through the same exact health and fitness, like, you know, journey that they're going through, right? They bond together. Community heals, isolation kills, right? So it's a huge selling point for you guys to have a community of like-minded people that you've curated, right? That's power, right? That leans into also the accountability and support too, which is great. Also builds a skill sets too, because they're learning from other people. So it's powerful. Have that intention in mind. You guys are building a community of like-minded people for the future. If you guys are barely getting started, it's all good. We don't have to worry about that, right? We can just focus on these 3 things right here. Okay. But I really want to touch on these 3 to 4 points, depending where you're at in your business for customer experience. Let's go deeper into deliver results now that we just talked about client experience. Okay. So I'm going to go through 5 different points on really delivering your guys' results through online, you know, especially, right? And taking that expertise online, whether you're doing face-to-face or maybe you've never done online with like the delivery aspect of it. This is going to give you guys some really good ideas on how you guys can really transfer that expertise onto online. Okay. With delivering the results for these people, whoever your perfect future client is we have to solve that core problem we talked about. Call it the bleeding neck problem, unique problem, core problem. We have to solve that problem though, guys. So whatever you promise them in the high ticket transformation offer, you have to solve that problem for them. Okay. You have to, because that's what they came to you for. So don't mislead them. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. It's the worst thing you can do online wise. Literally take care of them, solve that core problem, do whatever you need to do to showcase that you are the right person. They can refer you, they can come back to you, right? They can leave you a good review, good case study, all that good stuff. Now, the second thing is your specialty method. Use the specialty method that you promised and you talked about with them on the sales process to solve that problem. Don't say you're going to do a 3-step process, right? And then go off and do like a 10-step process or just do one thing, right? Take care of these people. Again, deliver them what you promised, keep your word, have integrity, have honor, right? And stick to that specialty method that you guys have for them to be able to sit there and solve that problem. Okay. It will go a long way. Trust me. The third thing here, how fast are we going to get them these results, guys? So again, one of the powerful things I mentioned in your high ticket transformation offer is having an outcome, right? Which the outcome is basically solving their specific core problem, bleeding that problem, but then having a deadline coupled with it. Okay. So again, if you have somebody lose, 50 pounds in 16 weeks, okay? That's a specific outcome and a deadline. Maybe they might not lose the 50 pounds in 16 weeks. And I don't want you guys to go to extreme measures to get them to do that, right? And have them like get hurt or anything like that. But it's like, hey, that'll be the number one focus that we're going to do, right? But if it takes a little bit longer, and so long as they're closer rather than further in their goals and they have momentum, they're skilling up, they're changing their habits, they're getting results, great. That's where we can talk about a continuation program too. And guess what, guys? Nobody ever is going to come to you guys back. You know what? I didn't lose that extra 10 pounds. I want my money back, right? They won't do that. They'll want to continue to work with you because you kept your word, you had integrity, you had honor, you didn't over deliver, you didn't under promise, right? Where you guys maybe a little bit short on the goal. Cool. It's all good. Sometimes it happens. Okay. But what the key thing here, guys, is like, how fast can we get them results? And especially too, like in the first, like maybe 4 to 6 weeks, how can we get them a quick win, a quick milestone to build momentum and be like, I made that right decision. and I'm going to keep going on this journey with like this coach. Now, the next one is how much effort and sacrifice do I have to put in to be able to get this result? That's a big thing that people think about, right? Because today we're in that convenience world, thanks to Amazon, right? And people want a push of the button, a food to deliver to their door. Now with DoorDash, Uber Eats, right? Groceries, Amazon, and literally same day delivery, all this stuff, guys. It's a convenience world. Netflix, all that crap. Effort and sacrifice. How much effort do they have to put in to be able to get to solve that core problem, right? How much sacrifice do they have to put in here? That's something you have to critique, right? That's something you have to be very good at, really like figuring out, like, what do they have to do? Do they have to give up the foods they like? Can they maybe not eat out? Do they have to sacrifice 10 hours a week? Do they have to sacrifice going to get blood drawn, right? Do they have to sacrifice maybe going to a gym, or maybe sacrifice going to team up with another specialist you have on hand, right? To help them get that goal. So again, how much effort and sacrifice? Usually the less effort that they have to put into this, the less sacrifice, the better, but it's hard, right? That's where it's like the high ticket transformation comes in, guys. This isn't something you're just selling for $100 program. So you got to think, you got to be good. So what's that effort and sacrifice to decrease that, and then get the likelihood of them to sit there and achieve that result, right? Within that promise and that deadline that you guys made to solve that core problem. And the last thing, kind of like I touched on in the customer experience part, or customer experience part, is this SAC. What are those skill sets that they're building with you? What's that accountability and support look like for them to lean in when things get tough, right? And then the community aspect. Is there like-minded people on that same journey with them they can connect with, right? Because things will get hard during the journey, right? And they'll have that community to lean on, guys. So when delivering these results, focus on these 5 areas right here, guys. It'll take you a long way in your online business to stay in the game for a long time. Okay, I briefly mentioned retention, I think it was on like number 5 or something like that, but let's talk a little bit deeper into this, because it's one of the biggest mistakes I see with nutrition and fitness coaches, right? Guys, we've been at this for 15 years. We had our own online business for literally close to a decade, past 6 years almost, working with over 900 health coaches, professionals. We've seen a lot, okay? We made this mistake. We see this happen all the time still, right? So basically, it looks like this, okay? You do everything right, and basically you sell your front end program, okay? And let's just say it's like $1,000 for like 12 weeks, okay? That's the front end program. What happens now, right, is we go here, cool. We're coaching this person for say 12 weeks. They're getting some good results. Now what happens here after the 12 weeks? Well, end of program. And usually what happens, guys, boom, clients fall off here. We lose money. We don't want that. So how do we retain them? Well, we want a continuation program. We call it an MRR, which is a monthly recurring revenue model, okay? Now, basically, there's 2 kind of areas you can go with this. You can literally go this way to where it's just like, there's a continuation program here. It's very similar of what they're already doing, right? Maybe it's a little bit less touch. Maybe it's a little bit more group model there, right? That's a great option as well, too. Now, the other one I like here, though, is basically, this is more of like a higher touch concierge type of option that they have. And what's good is you're solving a new problem for them, right? So again, whatever that problem that you solved in that 12 weeks, that front end program, well, this is a new problem that arose, right? That you're going to be solving with them. And like I mentioned, it's more personalized, more high touch, more concierge on here. That one's a great option too, okay? Tough part with that is you have to almost create a new program. What I like to talk about too with our students, how do we find a sweet spot here? Something that's, solving somewhat of a new problem. It's more personalized, but then it's also like a continuation that goes into a group model, okay? So I'll let you guys think about that, how you guys can do that. But you have to have a continuation, guys, because the game is right here is to be able to lock people in for 6 to 9 months. And that gives you guys recurring revenue, because it's very, very hard here, constantly selling the front end program of $1,000, this, that. It's not even that much. But if we can get them to be locked in for 6 to 9 months, charge whatever rate you guys want to charge, that's where the predictable, sustainable income comes in. It makes it easier for your business because you guys have money coming in, and you're also serving the client at a higher level. They're not going to get the results in 12 weeks, guys. They're just not, okay? They need more time with you. Now let's look at number 8 here, referrals and proof, okay? After you guys have dialed in those first 7 steps that I just basically talked about, go back and rewind and just watch those, study those, right? I highly actually recommend downloading the workbook below. In the description box, and you guys can print this out and do them pen to paper. It's going to just bake into your nervous system a lot better. Okay. So go back, take some notes, do the worksheets, but everything I talked about from steps 1 to 7 now, right? We're going to bring this all home for these last couple of points here. Referrals and proof, guys. Again, you guys are working with people. You should have a good clientele base now if you guys are doing all those first 7 steps right. Now we're at the point where it's like, we got to start asking for referrals, guys. So as soon as they get a quick win, right, in their journey, or maybe they like after they're done with their 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever it is, and there's a big transformation, right? Or if there's just a small habit change, there's a mindset shift, right? If they got a quick win, whatever, let's get that, guys. Like, let's get that. And let's start asking for referrals, okay? Because it's going to be one of the easiest ways you guys can get clients and actually have a warm lead instead of going out and doing cold traffic and all that type of stuff. So ask referrals. Now, we'll do that basically two ways: when they get a win or one time a month. Start asking all your clients for referrals, okay? Now, the next one here is social proof. If you guys are in this online business, guys, social proof is everything, right? It's very easy in a sense when people go into a brick and mortar or a gym or a clinic, and basically it's like the trust is already built because you're there, the setting, wherever you guys are at, the trust is there. You don't even have to have a bunch of social proof, in my opinion, right? Obviously, it always helps, but in person, you just buy trust immediately. Online wise, you got to think about this as a digital brick and mortar, right? And around that digital brick and mortar, we have a bunch of social proof, case studies, screenshots, videos, testimonials, Google reviews, all that type of stuff. That's what's going to build trust and decrease skepticism for you guys. So get very good at getting social proof and asking for social proof, guys, whether they're pictures, right? Whether they're screenshots, whether they are videos, longer case studies, short 1-minute videos. You guys need that. Put them in a Dropbox or Google Drive, save them, and then you guys can start sharing those, right, on social media, which I'll talk about in a minute, or put those on landing pages, websites, all those type of things. And then right here, once you guys have this, share it everywhere, guys. Instagram, Facebook, landing pages, everywhere, right? Boost posts with it, share it with like people you're having conversations with, share it everywhere. It's called results-driven marketing. It's so powerful in this game, especially within a nutrition and fitness coaching business, okay? So get very good at asking for referrals, monthly, social proof as soon as possible, right? And then, basically building that library and then sharing it everywhere you guys possibly can. Let's call it like this, guys. Mind growth, something you're gonna have to constantly work on, okay? Let's call it basically number 2, which is attract, capture, coaching, customer experience, deliver results, retention, referrals, improve, okay? So let's say basically from here, 2 through 8 here on the checklist, this is what you guys are gonna use the SOX method in, okay? So the first one is we're gonna basically stabilize this. So we're gonna stabilize these first 2 through 8 steps. That means we're going to do it imperfectly, imperfect action, put your B+ work out there, no A+ work, because there's no such thing. Get it off the ground, just systematize it, build it, just deploy it. Okay, that's all we're going to do, right? Now, the second thing we're going to do here now is we're going to optimize. Now it's like, okay, now we're going to sit there and make it better. We're going to test, tweak, test. We're going to make things better. We're going to get biofeedback, right? We're going to put surveys out there. We're going to get the data and we're going to be like, hey, how do we make this better and better and better? Okay. Now, the third part here is SOX, expand. So now what we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna expand the business. That's where we're gonna start maybe looking into paid advertisement, bringing on a team to help us out and buy back time. We're gonna really grow this business and expand it because you know what? We've stabilized it. There's a proof of concept, right? We've optimized it, test, tweak, made it better, right? Now we're gonna expand this baby and grow this business, okay? So remember that SOX method for those first 2 to 8 points that I made on the checklist. Now, the last part here, guys, is to really bring this home here, to play the long game. Okay. Again, if you're in this just to make a quick buck, I mean, you guys should unsubscribe from our channel. I don't like that game. I really don't. I don't like people that like this as a side hustle, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If you're in this for the long game, which part of our mission is to help cure diseases, reverse diseases, prevent diseases, right? And make this world a better place, right? And advance God's kingdom. If you're not about doing things like that, right, at that level, and it's maybe part-time side hustle, just make money, give people a shitty experience, you should unsubscribe and you should probably look for a different career, right? That's how serious we are about this, right? You got to play the long game because it's hard. It's not easy, guys. Anybody tells you this is easy to build a business like this, it's a 6-figure, multiple 6-figure, 7-figure business. So it's like, get used to it. It's gonna be hard, right? You're gonna have to persevere. But if you have that mindset, if it's a long game that you're into this, be the most rewarding thing you guys do, and you guys will, have a profitable business, right? To be able to impact more lives. This is the recipe that I really recommend that you guys buy into to have this long game mindset. Okay, got to stay focused, guys. You're probably here on YouTube watching this. It's all good. Just don't try to sit there and go off and listen to 10 other videos of somebody else trying to piece this whole puzzle together, guys. That's a great way to lose focus and not get things done, okay? So try to maybe just focus on 1 channel, 2 channel, 2 or 3 voices out there and just do the work. Just stay focused, okay? The next thing is discipline. Can you stay disciplined to those first 2 to 9 steps that I just showed you? Well, if you're a nutrition and fitness coach, right, and you're in good shape, you can stay disciplined with your diet and your exercise. That's great. But can you stay disciplined in doing the work and stay focused on certain steps and not skip around, get shiny object syndrome, have squirrels in your brain? Got to be disciplined in this game, guys, to play the long game. And then consistent. Woo. Again, you're a nutrition coach, fitness coach, or health coach, or practitioner, or whatever. You're probably consistent in that game, but can you stay consistent in business day in and day out, week in and week out, month in and month out, during the good times, during the hard times? Can you stay consistent? Can you stay focused? Can you be disciplined? That's the question. Now, if you stay focused, disciplined, and consistent, you will grow. You will grow. And this will lead to playing the long game. And you'll have meaning, fulfillment, impact, money, the lifestyle you guys want. Okay. Is it easy? No, it's not. It's hard. It'll be the most rewarding thing you guys ever do in this game. I really hope you got a lot out of that video. Make sure to rewatch it a couple of times on. There's some really actionable steps on there. Download the workbook, print it out, right? And rewatch this video and actually take action on it, okay? So the next thing is, if you are an action taker, if again, you don't wanna wait, you wanna sit there and get the ball rolling on this 10-step whole system that I just showed you to really scale your online health and fitness coaching business, make sure to click the link below in the description box and just take advantage of our free business growth call on there. Again, it's 15 minutes. We have nothing to sell you guys. We wanna make sure it's a good fit for you, make sure it's a good fit for us, and if we can even possibly help you out in your business. So if you're interested in that, click the link below. And in this next video, I want you to watch one of our students that's in our accelerator mentorship, how he scaled his coaching business through scaling up through the community and also having a system to be able to follow so he can build his whole entire coaching business. Exactly what you could do as well too. And you guys can take some actionable steps from that whole entire case study where he shares everything that he did on there, okay? We'll see you guys in the next video.